So we're gonna start seated. So you might want to use your blanket or towel or cushion or whatever it is that you might have to sit on. It just gives your body a little bit more ease once we come into seated. And Minnie's ready for practice. She's a little off the ball this morning. Usually she's down here chirping as people are coming in. Okay, so setting yourself up in a comfortable seat. If being cross-legged, not bone on bone, but just like stacked in front of one another is not agreeable for your body, then do something else. You can stretch the leg out. You could sit with feet to the ground. We're just looking to find a way to align our spines right now. I always like to start practice with a little bit of a mental, physical check-in before we start to move. So getting yourself set up, whatever that looks like, feels like for you this morning, and allowing your eyes to close. Slowly taking that sensory door of sight offline. There'll still be a play of light and shadows behind your eyelids, but there's less distraction. You're aware of the room that you're in. You allow yourself to start to center and feel a little more present into your space. Setting aside the toings and throwings that might have been going on before you found your way to the mat. And not worrying about what comes next. Let's just drop into a space of breath. Pay attention to the very next inhale that moves through your body. And the exhale that follows that. And this is where your attention will lie for the next few moments. It's just being with that rise and fall of energy within your body. Noticing the depth of your breath. Noticing its flow pattern. Is it smooth or a little bit jagged? No judgments. No stories. Just be with your breath. Rise and fall. Allow your body to begin to relax a little bit more with every breath. You feel your face beginning to soften. As you swallow, space clears in your throat. You come to invite your ears to work on funneling sounds from within your space to beyond your space and back in. So opening up that deep listening channel without getting drawn away. Eventually coming back to the sound of breath in your body. And then you relax your shoulders, let them get heavy. Relax your abdomen so the breath may be able to travel further, deeper. Knowing that you can choose to do or not do any part of practice, and wherever you end up is perfectly okay. Just keep coming back to the breath. And seeing if you can stretch out that relationship between the inhale and the exhale, making them just a little bit longer, a little bit deeper than your natural rhythm. You'll come to invite your hands to stack over your heart space. Feel that rise and fall of breath underneath your palms. A little bit of sound practice to formally open today's class. You may choose to raise your voice in your space or simply adopt my voice as your own. We'll use the seed sound of Om 3 times. And we'll take a clearing breath in through the nose. Let it go with a sigh. Finding sound. That vibration fading, gently pulling the hands away from the heart and allowing the eyes to open as we start to bring light back in. We'll bring our bodies through to all fours, so a tabletop position. If knees are tender, you can use your blanket or towel to just cushion the knees. We won't be here too long. Okay, fanning out through those fingers nice and wide. Just feeling connection to ground. Let's start to move our body, our spine. So with the inhale, you're slowly going to drop your belly and let the crown of the head and the tip of the tailbone turn up for a cow pose. And then exhale, pull the belly button towards the spine and start to round out through the back, finding cat. And this is the rhythm that you're going to work with. Inhaling, belly low, crown and tail float. And then exhale, curl and round, tucking the head, the tail. And just taking your time as you go through this motion, warming up into the spine. Noticing if you're holding tension in your jaw as you're doing these movements. Try to relax. Just going with the flow of breath. Inhale, belly low. Exhale, spine rounds. And you'll do this cow-cat motion 3 more times. Coming out of that last one, you're going to level everything off. Tuck the tailbone, looking for a flat back here. And then we're going to turn the toes under. So you're tucking your toes, starting to wake up through the soles of the feet. If you'd like, you could add a bit of extra pressure here and just bend the hips back towards the heels. Only if it feels okay. If it causes distress, staying in that tabletop with the toes tucked under. And from here, we're slowly going to lift our bodies into a half downward facing dog on the way to a full downward facing dog. Taking a breath in. As you exhale, start to feel the contraction in your abdominals. And once you've got that fired up, lift your knees from the ground, keep them bent, and push your torso back towards your thighs. Let your hips wiggle side to side here. And little by little, you're going to start to stretch one leg out and then switch and do the other. So we're walking the dog. And then you'll come to stabilize, both legs long. This is not about getting the heels to the ground, it's just about finding length in the back body and looking for equilibrium between your hands and your feet. So no one end is holding more weight than the other. Shoulders move down the back. Shake out your head here. Let your head come to stillness. And then your attention comes to the space between your hands. Little by little, you're going to walk your feet towards your hands with as few steps as possible. So we're finding dangling here. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Doesn't matter whether your hands get to the ground or not. The intention is just to start to open up the back side of the body. You may prefer to brace opposite elbows here. So finding your fit and relax your feet, your knees. So wiggle your toes, bend into your knees a little bit here. Let the head get heavy and just hang. Come back to those nice deep breaths. And then you'll inhale, come halfway up, hands to the shins, create a flat back. So tuck that tailbone a little bit here. Exhale, you're going to fold all the way down. Maybe you choose to run your hands down the backs of your legs to tuck in a bit further. Releasing the effort, you're dangling again. Engage through the core. So squeeze into those abdominals and then slowly pull yourself up. Stacking one vertebrae into the other, little by little. Shoulders, neck, head, the last few pieces to align themselves. Take a few breaths here. If you're feeling an intense blood pressure shift where you're a bit woozy, Lift and lower your heels. So do a little walking in place motion and breathe a little bit deeper. This is just going to help our bodies acclimate to being upright. And then find ground, come to stand. So we relax the feet, pick up the toes, let them wiggle and shake a little bit here. And then we put a micro bend into the knees. We don't want to do that pop and lock. It's horrible for our joints. So we put a little bend in the knees so you feel really springy here. Okay. And this is our Tadasana, our mountain pose, as we relax the feet, the knees, and then we allow the body to get tall. Lengthening up through the spine, reaching through the crown of the head. And we're going to pick up the shoulders, squeeze them tight towards the ears. Draw them back, so squeeze those shoulder blades towards one another. We're opening across the chest. And then let it go. Feel that little bit of release that comes in. So we're going to start with some Taoist basics today. We're going to bring the hands to the low belly. You could make a little triangle there, thumb and first finger coming together. This is the Dan Chen. It's a little energetic hub within our bodies. And I invite you to connect with that sensation of breath moving in your body, just looping, rising and falling as you stand here. Maybe even getting the flow of breath to a point where you can feel it moving underneath your hands. But if you can't, that's okay. Eventually, you'll encounter a moment where you can feel your full body breathing. So from here, we're going to do something called Sushumna clearing or Sushumna sweeping. Sushumna is the energetic channel that lives in the center of our bodies. It's the line or the warehouse for our chakras, our 7 energy bodies, our energy centers. So we're going to sweep that space clear. So with your next inhale, the hands gently rise in front of you. Everything's loose and relaxed. Breathe all the way up to the crown of the head. And then exhale softly, gently. Bring the hands back down to the Dan Chen. Inhaling, sweeping up. And exhaling, slowly releasing. Remember that little bend in the knees, the relaxation of your feet. And you are going to move according to your own breath, just trying to find ease here. Thinking that with every pass of your hands, you are sweeping clear any junk, any distressful things that have accumulated within your energy. You're just sweeping them out. Allowing for more space to breathe and simply feel a little freer, the mind a little clearer. And sometimes just pausing to do this motion a few times in the midst of your day is enough to bring everything a little more focused, a little calmer. So we'll do one more sweep up and down. Let those hands come to rest in front of the Dan Chen again. And you'll take your feet a little bit wider. allowing your feet to move as we come into this next piece. So we're going to do something called fingers through the clouds, and it's a side-to-side motion. So you simply pick up your hands, drag them out to one side, and then slowly pull to the other end. Do a little loop, and then sweep back. So I offer the suggested movement, and then you just let your inner wisdom, your body, figure this out for you. You might be quite content to just play with this through a central line around your heart space. You may wish to get a little more creative and reach high and low or somewhere in between. The idea is to just move the chi, move the energy, clear space. And you'll start to slow this down and make the movements a little bit smaller. And a little bit smaller. Eventually bringing everything back to that low belly point of the dawn. And once you arrive there, close your eyes, pause, breathe, feel. Letting go of any preconceived notions of what practice needs to look like or feel like. Just be here. Letting your hands release down from the belly. Finding a comfortable way to stand. So you might want to bring your feet closer or take them a bit wider. We're going to do a few cycles of the 4-part Taoist breath before we come into our Yin practice this morning. We'll go through the first round nice and slow, and then we'll drop into just a rhythmic approach to it. So from here, your first breath in, we expand, open the arms wide, squeeze the shoulder blades, tip back a little bit as you open the chest. And then we embrace, we give ourselves a big hug, cross the arms, hands come to opposite shoulders, giving yourself a nice big hug, squeezing and slowly bending and folding down towards the ground. Where you then release your hands, you touch towards earth, whether the fingers get there or not. And then we inhale, scoop up that earth energy, bring it through the center of the body. Slowly finding your way to standing. Somewhere around the heart, your hands flip and they push up towards the sky. And then we ground the chi. We spank the energy and bring it home. So that's one. We're going to do 3 more rounds. Inhale, expand, opening those arms. Exhale, embrace. Give yourself a big hug and fold deeply in. Releasing the hands to earth. Use an inhale to start the journey upwards. Around the heart, connect to sky, reaching up. And sink the chi. 2 more. Inhale, expand, open wide. Exhale, embrace, big hug as you fold. Releasing arms to ground, pull earth energy up. Make a connection to sky. And sink it home. Last round, see if you can reach your breath a bit further. Inhaling. When you're ready to breathe out, exhale, embrace and fold. And just keep going until the lungs are empty. And then you'll scoop up earth energy on the inhale. Making your connection to sky. And sink the chi home. Let the hands return to the low belly. Relax your feet, your knees if they started to lock up. 3 releasing breaths here before we find our way to the mat. Deep in through the nose. Out through the mouth. 2 more times. Releasing the hands from the dantian. Tuck your chin in towards your chest, and little by little, vertebrae by vertebrae, you start to curl and fold back into your Uttanasana, your standing fold or dangling. Shake out your head side to side, up and down. Releasing some neck tension. Open and close your mouth a few times. Relax the jaw. And then by whatever means necessary, stepping your way down onto your mat, finding knees and hands, that tabletop. 3 cycles of cow-cat here. Inhale, the belly comes low, crown and tail float up. Exhale, round. 2 more times. Coming out of that last one, you'll invite your hips to drift off to a side as you bring your legs around in front of you. So we're going to begin with butterfly pose. If when you're seated, your body pulls you back, it feels like a constant struggle to try and get tall, this is where your folded blanket or a cushion being wedged underneath your sits bones will help lift you and give you the space to move forward. Soles of feet coming together, and we're creating a wide diamond shape. So we don't want the heels tight in towards the groin. We actually want some space here. And we'll start with a little bit of movement. So just letting your body rock side to side. And we're looking to get the release sensation to move through kind of that low back side waist area. It's a spot that's chronically tight with all the sitting, computing, driving that we do. So it's always nice to put a little love in there. And when you feel things have loosened off enough in that side, waist, and back area, you can find stillness come to center. This is where listening to the body becomes important. The invitation is to begin to curl and round forward, letting the spine round rather than approaching this with a flat back. And we drop in little by little, even letting the head get heavy. You invite your body to pause whenever you hit a natural stopping point. And once you're there, bringing your awareness back to the breath, just paying attention to the inhale and the exhale. And encouraging the muscles within your spine, within your legs, to take a break. So if you have that little twitchy sensation of the muscles trying to hold you in place, see if you can soften. Even if it's a little dance between tense and release as your body gets used to this, that is part of the practice. And you just keep coming back to the breath. Inhale, observe where tension might be resting. Exhale, soften. Over time, the longer that we stay, sometimes the body gives us a little more room. It might be that you sink a little further. It might be a sensation of just internal space happening. Trusting in the process. Keep coming back to breath anytime that you feel yourself getting distracted by thoughts, by sensations, by external goings on. Just breathe and come back. And offering up 3 more cycles of breath to your butterfly pose. Whenever that third breath starts to fade, you'll take your time as you gradually uncurl. There's a slow journey into the pose, so take your time coming out. Eventually the spine sits up enough that you can help scoop up your legs and stretch them away from you. And we'll lean back on our hands, opening up into our nice little rebound pose. Let the body be still, observing all the various sensations that might come flooding through. Hot and cold, little pulsations or tinglings. And just staying with your breath as you ride this wave of release. We will lift ourselves up to a taller spine. So I'm going to take my right leg out, excuse me, wide enough that there's this deep, achy stretching sensation that starts to happen through the groin and inner thigh. At the same time, I'm going to bend into my left knee and just let the foot land wherever it does. So again, same principle. If while you're seated, the body pulls you back, you'll want that little wedge underneath your sits bones so you're not already working against yourself. So this is half dragonfly. I'm going to start by wiggling out that right leg, trying to disrupt the body's natural tendency to tense and hold and protect. And then you'll let that little bit of movement subside in the extended leg. And this might be more than enough in your sensory world right now. And you'll just stay exactly as you are, encouraging that right leg to relax over and over again. Just coming back to your breath. But if you feel there's a little more space for you to entertain in your body, you could try folding. So we're going to work with just the simple forward fold this morning. And it may be that the hands come to the ground and you just lightly support yourself here. Continuing to breathe, continuing to relax. It might be that over time you could slide a little bit further forward. So long as you're not purposely trying to force yourself further and deeper, because that goes against the grain of the Yin practice. We're looking to find a space of surrender and release. Finding whatever works for you and then dropping back into that place of awareness of breath. Just being with the rise and the fall, expansion and contraction. Where else might you be able to let go? You've got 3 more breaths in your half dragonfly. Whenever those 3 breaths have run themselves out, Once again, taking your time, being mindful of all the little sensations that start to rush in as you change position. And you'll scoop that right leg in just enough that you're taking the tension out of the leg. Let the left one stretch out and find a way to be in stillness here. Once again, just being with the energy rush, the chi flow, as it starts to amp up in your body. We'll do one releasing breath here before we change position. Deep in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then coming to create your half dragonfly the other way around. So opening up that left leg far and wide, getting that achy little sensation beginning in your leg, bending into the right knee and letting it just land wherever it needs to. And we start with that little bit of coddling for the muscles by shaking and wiggling that left leg out a little bit. When that initial bit of resistance has faded, let the leg relax. So again, if this is enough for you, just feeling that achy little stretch through the groin, the inner thigh, then you're going to stay there. If you had entertained the forward fold the first time through, then we're going to do that again. And it might be just a very subtle tipping forward, resting on hands and letting the body relax there. And perhaps over time, maybe you start to fold forward a little bit more. No expectations. One side of the body tends to behave a little differently than the other. So working with what is in your experience right now, without creating judgments or stories for yourself, just fold, breathe, and allow. As you breathe in, observe where tension might be harbored in your body. And as you breathe out, you try to relax over and over again. And for these last 3 breaths of your half dragonfly, see if you can surrender into the pose a little bit more. Taking your time as you come out, little by little, reaching that point where you can scoop up that left leg, stretch out the right one. And rather than leaning back on the hands, we're going to roll all the way down onto our backs on the mat. And you may wish to just have your blanket handy for when we come into our final resting pose. But for now, feet to the floor, knees up towards the ceiling. Letting your body open up here, arms reaching up to the side. Using our neutral spine as our integration point here, our rebound. Come to feel the breath as it cycles through your body here. Keeping the knees bent, you'll just walk your feet towards the outer edge of your mat, so you're in a wide position here. And we'll do some windshield wipers, so just letting the legs drift off to one side, slowly engage, pull through center, and then they fall the other way. It's a nice dynamic, open twist for this practice. Not rushing it. And the next time that your legs fall off to the left side, stay there. And if you'd like, you could take your right leg and stretch it over to the left side and just let it reach out. Maybe you use that left hand to just support the whole twist. And the right arm keeps moving away from you. And you'll offer up 3 really nice deep breaths here, trying to get the body to relax on the exhales. And then bringing everything back to center, you'll want to bend into your right knee if you've stretched out. Back to neutral spine, so bringing the hips underneath you if they felt a little askew. Pause for a moment to feel. And we'll take our spinal twist the other way around, so letting the legs fall off to the right. Bringing that left knee closer to the right side and maybe stretching out that leg. Bracing it down with your right hand. Left arm reaching away from you. We invite back those 3 really deep cycles of breath, encouraging the body to relax a little bit further on the exhales. And after those 3 breaths, bringing everything back to center, we'll tuck the knees in towards the chest, whether you grab on top of the shin or from behind the knee. Just give yourself a nice little hug and squeeze. Rock side to side a couple of times. And then invite your knees back to a bent position, feet to the ground. And from here, if you'd like, you could take your blanket, rolled or folded, and tuck it underneath your knees as you stretch the legs away from you. So we're coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. And you can allow your arms to open away from you wherever it's comfortable, palms turning up towards the sky. You allow for all the efforting of practice to begin to dissolve. Breath returns to natural rhythms. And with every passing moment, you feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper in towards the ground. You feel the earth as it rises up to support you in your rest. Giving yourself the permission to be here and be still for a little while, without needing to do anything but breathe. first ringing of the bowl brings your attention back to your space. As you feel yourself laying on the earth. The second ringing of the bowl invites your attention to breath, body, heart, and mind as they are now. The third ringing of the bowl asks you to gradually bring movement back in. Come to wiggle through fingers and toes, roll through wrists and ankles. Little movements getting larger. You'll draw your knees back in towards the chest, rock side to side a few times. Come to roll over onto your right side, pausing there in a fetal position for just a moment or two. Taking a few deeper breaths as your side lying. You'll then push your left palm into the ground as you slowly start to push yourself up and away. Coming back to sitting. And once you find yourself back in a place where your spine is tall, rooting down through the sits bones, reaching up through the crown of the head, just allowing the hands to come and stack over the heart one more time. With eyes closed, you pause to offer a little bit of gratitude towards yourself for the courage and the willingness to step on the mat to practice today. As we offer thanks to all the puzzle pieces of life that fell into place to allow us to connect and practice together as we have. Close class with a single Om, clearing breath in first, and letting it go. Finding sound. Thank you so much for your practice. Namaste.